The attachment lines can be found on the Mount of Mercury. They run from the side or percussive edge of the hand and around and across to the centre of the hand for a short distance. Attachment lines, also known as marriage or affection lines or union lines. The line or lines can show the style, depth and awareness of the commitment. So a good way to read the attachment lines is to start by seeing them as the depth or degree of commitment an individual has towards another, and the possible timing of this attachment. So let's start by looking at your writing hand or your active hand. If you just have one line, you are probably a more traditional one-to-one attacher. Common in many long-term relationships, where they both have a single deep line. But in relationships, they can take a little longer to get over things if the relationship ends. But once they do, they get attached to their new lives. But maybe there's still an old touch of feeling that never dies. An old system of reading this line, to which I am careful of, states that the horizontal position or height of the attachment line can show at what age the attachment occurs. If you say that the centre of the area between the heart line and the base of the little finger is 35 years old, then below this is before the age of 35, then above will show relationships after the age of 35. If instead of one line you have two lines, it could show that there is a higher but not necessarily definite chance of having more than one relationship through life. They are probably still heavy attachers, depending on the depth of the line also, but they can pick themselves up a bit quicker than single liners, but it can still hurt. If these lines are extremely close together, it mainly shows an escapist attitude. At worst, it could be the sign of loving two people simultaneously. But be careful with that bombshell, as more often or not it can show a person that cannot put all their feeling eggs comfortably in one basket, caught between moments, places and love. If you have loads of fine lines here, then it could show someone more likely to have a few or more relationships, but not necessarily at the same time, each one potentially adjusting the subject's maturity along the way. These lines are often less deep, but you may notice one of the lines thicken up if you meet someone and fall deeply in love and feel the urge for deeper commitment. You may see this line deepen after 6 months into a potentially lasting relationship. We've learnt already that the depth of the line increases the depth of attachment, so if we now look at how the line flows from start to finish, we can gain even more gems. If it starts as two lines merging into one deep line, it is taken as a very good sign for a compatible relationship. Certain schools of thought go further to say that the further the two lines start from behind the hand, the higher the chance of meeting a karmic partner. That is one that we have met in a previous life. If the line ends with a fork, it could suggest a relationship that gradually grows apart over time. The angle of the fork outwards could show how far apart that could be. The wider the quicker, the more final the change. If the line just separates to a parallel line, it suggests the split is more of a gradual change for the couple involved, possibly becoming more like loving friends with history. If the line slopes down, it could show a need to avoid being a grumpy old sod. The Indian palmistry name for this is a mangli, union line, and they say they seek a partner who also has a mangly line, assumably to put up with each other. So let's start by cheering up and start enjoying yourself and learn to be more trusting and less controlling. Learn to love unconditionally and watch for the end of the line curling up if you do. If the line slopes up, be aware of the possibility of that however optimistic you may be, you may need to accept a little bit more commitment in your life's party. If the lines are deeper in your passive hand or non-writing hand and shallower in your active or writing hand, this could suggest you are not in love as much as you could be. Maybe the lines fade on the active hand if the commitment at the time is lesser. If the lines are deeper on the active or writing hand, then maybe you have surpassed yourself in love and are probably happier with a higher ability to commit. Any islands along the line can suggest drawn-out stressful periods. However, these defects can disappear when the negative feelings environments subside or change. Any lines that travel for miles across the hand and touch these attachment lines and could show close friends or family causing problems by interfering with relationships, and sometimes by even just trying to help. Check the line for anomalies after the crossing point to establish if any real damage to the flow is indicated. If both people in a relationship have similar or identical attachment lines, that is, the number, the style and the depth the same, this is seen as a very compatible omen. If you do have different styles of attachment lines, then hopefully this video will help towards an understanding of the differences that you could hopefully overcome. And if you have no attachment lines whatsoever, then if you see them appear, it's probably a sign that you're readier to commit.